welcome back. Hello, hi, how are you? Yes, we're here for our final episode in our Irish mythology, folklore, legends series. I thought I'd make it a nice trilogy only because there are a couple of loose ends. And I've gotten most of the stories. I think there's a couple of like B-sides, but who cares about the B-side? But maybe I'll do other mythologies. I don't know. Either way, I thought I would get this out of the way, and give you a kind of conclusion and a little bit of context for some other stories. So, first of all, I have like a little quick fire, just little bits of history about history, little bits of mythological history about a couple of creatures and symbols and stuff like that. So I've talked a lot about fairies and how they are kind of wrapped up in Irish folklore, and I was looking at kind of see if there's a story surrounding them, and there isn't really. They just kind of connected to other ones. But I did find out that they have a fairy door, which I thought was cool, that the gods and fairies could only use to get between the dimensions, or between the realms or whatever, which, you know what, interesting little fact, apparently it is located in Meath, which we talked about Meath in I think the first part of this. By the way, I think it's probably, if you haven't watched the other two, it's a good idea to watch those before this. It's not necessary, but they will probably give you more context or help explain some of the other parts that you weren't sure of. So anyway, the fairies had this door, which is great for them. Another one was mermaids, which I was not aware mermaids were at all like involved in Irish mythology, but apparently the whole of like Europe is got this beautiful idea of mermaids, and they're like these gorgeous, alluring women that, you know, bring fishermen in and wreck their boats or something. But in Irish mythology they have pig faces, so that's really cool. I think that's great. I think they deserve to have whatever face they want. I did think it was a bit weird though, like everywhere else in Europe was like, yeah, we agree, like they're pretty beautiful, but they're mean. But we're like, what if they're ugly? What if they're like pig people, but like mean? And that will be fun. So we have to be aware of those apparently. Another one, obviously, leprechauns. Leprechauns are such a staple of Ireland, and they are said to be at the ends of each side of the rainbow with a pot of gold, and but they won't give you the gold because they're tricksters and they're manipulative, and they'll try to get you to do things for them. I really, like, they just don't serve a purpose when you think about it. I think the theme of Irish mythology is pointless. Nothing has a purpose. Nothing is really there to do anything. It's all just kind of, why not? And I think leprechauns are the definition of why not. They just explain the rainbow, and that's all. I'm trying to think. Oh, I had one that was really like disturbing, but it is the Headless Horseman, which, let me just quickly look at the name. It is Dullahan, I don't know which one, but it is said that they are headless with their head as a like lantern, and they have like a chariot and the horse. So their horse is a bone horse, obviously, and they're in a chariot made of human skin, which is great. The wheels are made from thigh bones, and there was something else really disturbing. What was it? Oh, it has like different skulls just to light up the way, so that's really great. And it's said to just keep riding around Ireland, and whenever it stops and you hear it calling your name or somebody's name, that means they're going to die. It's like bringing the soul to them. So I think he's like our Grim Reaper, which is great. listening out, just in case. But let me see. I had other ones. I'm just trying to make sure I get them all. Oh, this one is good. This is the story of the harp. So I think our national symbol is the harp, and it's on our money. I have this prop. You see this prop? Oh yeah, this is a prop. It is a proof set. I do not collect coins, so naturally my grandparents got this for me for one of my birthdays, I think, and it's just a little collection of coins. But I thought I would show you the little harp on the, oh god, I almost dropped it. The little harp on the back of the coin. I will zoom in. I don't know if you can even see that if I zoom in. Anyway, that's it. I will put a picture if you can't, but I thought it would be interesting to just have it in person rather than just showing you a picture. But yes, that's our national symbol. And the story of the mythology I had never heard before, but I think it's actually one of the cooler ones. So, well, there's no reason for the gods, the evil gods were just like, whoop, we're taking away the harp. And so naturally we had no music in the whole country, which devastated everyone obviously back in the day. And instead of making music, they would write poetry and stories and paint and do some like other artistic things rather than making music. And then the gods were like, wait, this didn't work at all. So then they gave the harp back, and now it's our symbol. And I mean, it's such a weird story, but it is interesting at the same time to just be like, here it is, here's your, or like, here it is, just like, give me that. Like, just the harp, just take the harp, and then all the other musical instruments, so like, it just doesn't work without the harp, though. Like, they need the harp to make music, otherwise it doesn't matter. Anyway, I think that's it. Let me check. Oh, we have, Macha, M-A-C-H-A, which I think matcha is probably how we would say it, but Macha, I think, is a god of horses. And the king of Ulster at the time, so Macha was pregnant, and the king of Ulster, listen, there is no context to this story whatsoever. It just says Macha had to pay for her husband's crimes. Don't know what they are. Don't need to know what they are. Anyway, she had to pay for her crimes, and her punishment was not jail time. No. It was not community service. No. It was to get in a foot race with a bunch of horses. Yeah. A foot race. So, anyway, she's pregnant in a foot race with horses, which is insane. But because she's the god of horses, the goddess of horses, I think it says the god. Oh no, it says goddess. Anyway, either way, she wins the race, which is great, good for her. And then, because she wins, she then puts a curse on all the men of Ulster called the Pangs of Ulster, which was a detail in our story at the end of last episode of this, which I think is cool, because I didn't know the origin of it, even though it's such a brief origin compared to like any context whatsoever, but it's better than nothing. And I think that's it for those little ones. Next, I wanted to talk about the beginning of Cúchulann, and we talked about Cúchulann in the last episode too. He was the great warrior in the cattle raid story. So his name is actually Setanta, and Setanta was a kid up in Ulster, just living his life, and he joins the Fianna. Yeah, he joins the Fianna. But he joined the Fianna, and then he left the Fianna to be because he was quite good in the Fianna, but so then he left the Fianna to be in the Ulster army. And he was kind of just living his life there. He was pretty young at the time, so he was playing games and doing some fun stuff. And we have a sport called hurling, which is, I will put the picture of like the instrument you do it with and the ball, which is called a schlitter. Schlitter, whatever. So he was playing a bit of that, you know, doing whatever he needs to do. And then basically the king at the time gets word about Queen Maeve, who's coming to attack him for the cattle, for the whatever it was. Anyway, so he calls this blacksmith who makes the most beautiful weapons and armor for the king himself, and he says, "Hey, listen, I know this is a lot of work, but I need lots and lots and lots of armor, please. We're gonna go to a big fat war, so I need your best stuff." And he says, "Why don't you bring them all over and we'll have a feast, and after that I'll get to work." So they end up, you know, they pack up their stuff and they get going to this blacksmith's fort, and Setanta is finishing up playing a game of hurling by himself, which is not a game you play solitary. But anyway, he's there, he's just, you know, hitting the ball or whatever. And he says, "Oh, I'll follow along after I'm finished." And they're like, "Oh, that's fine, okay, whatever." Because, you know, he's young, they don't really care about him. And they end up going all the way to the fort. They go in, everything's beautiful, it's all laid out, it's great. And they all sit down, and the blacksmith says, "Okay, is everybody here?" And the king says, "Yes, everyone's here. These are all my men, they're gonna fight in the war, they're great, they're wonderful, they're amazing." And he says, "Okay, perfect, let's close the doors and I'll put my guard dog outside on watch." And so they're sitting down for their feast, and as they're doing this, Setanta obviously has finished his game and he's on his way to this blacksmith's fort. But, as we well know, the guard dog is outside, and obviously this is Irish mythology, so it's not some ordinary guard dog. It's a big, giant, huge, scary wolf thing. Probably like werewolfish or something. And he goes up to the house and he sees, oh, there's a big wolf there, right? And all he has is his hurling ball and his hurl. So the dog is barking and he's running towards him and he's trying to kill him, obviously because he's a guard dog. So then Setanta hits the hurling ball and it flies over the dog's head, and the dog gets like, "Oh, wait," and he goes and chases the ball. And then he brings the ball back, and so they end up playing the ball. But all this growling and barking that happened beforehand, the king heard it and went, "Oh, Setanta's outside." So they all rush out, and they open the gates and they run out expecting Setanta to be dead. But then they see him playing with the dog. So obviously then the blacksmith, listen, he's a little bit disappointed. He's like, "Okay, well, that's not a very good guard dog at all." And so Setanta says, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry that I broke your dog. Let me be your guard dog." And then he took on the name Cúchulann, because the place that they're in is called Cullen or Cú, or one of the two anyway. But Cúchulann translates to Wolf of Cullen or Wolf of Cú, either one, I don't remember. So he's like the wolf guard dog of that place, and then obviously we know the rest, where he's in the fight and blah 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 blah. But the next story is the Death of Cúchulann, and this will finish off the trilogy in a glorious fashion. So after the fight, Maeve, even though she did win, now she won, don't know why, but she won, she is still upset because she lost so many men in the war against Ulster because of Cúchulann. And so what she does is she takes one of the men who she got one of the first people that she sent to fight Cúchulann had 5 kids, and he was killed by Cúchulann. And so she took these 5 kids and she raised them, and she raised them to be warriors. And then after that she sent them to sorcery school. So they're now sorcery warrior witches, wizards, and goblins. And so she then says, okay, you're ready, go and kill Cúchulann. He's in a place called Dundalk, which is in County Louth, which is above Dublin. And so off they go, walking all the way over, which they must have been so tired. And maybe they took like a horse, I don't know. Anyway, so they get there, and one of the kids, who's now an adult, throws their sorcerer staff at Cúchulann when he's not watching, but he senses it, so he looks over and dodges it. And because he's not prepared, he runs off, and he runs back to Ulster. So the kids then have to go all the way up to Ulster, and obviously they see him at Ulster, and the second one throws their staff, and he's escaping at this time, and he escapes on his horse and chariot, and they throw it in front of the horse, so the horse trips and falls, and Cúchulann flies over the chariot and onto the ground. The third kid throws a sorcerer's staff, and it just misses him in the side, but he dodges, but it's on his, so he's lying down on his back, and the staff goes on his left side, so he can't turn anymore. And the fourth kid throws a staff into his side, and essentially he's dying, and he knows he's dying, so he crawls whatever strength he has left. He crawls himself up a hill, onto a pillar, and ties himself there, staring at the 5 kids. And the 5 of them are way too afraid to go up the hill, so they wait for 3 whole days, and they wait to see a raven sit on his shoulder, because ravens are signs of death apparently. And so then they go up and they go back to Queen Maeve, and they say, yes, Cúchulann is now dead. And that's it. That's how he dies after all of that. They're such pointless stories, but I do like them. I think they're interesting, and I hope you do too. I hope you enjoyed this little trilogy. If you haven't seen the other 2 parts, I like them a lot, particularly part 2, because we had that good cattle raid story, and I think I told Tiernan Og in that one. I don't remember, but go check them out if you haven't, if you did like this one. So other than that, I really appreciate you supporting and being nice and kind, and let me know if you want to do let me know if you want me to do other mythologies or other kinds of stories. I really like these kind of storytelling videos where it's kind of off just from what I can remember and stuff like that. But yes, apart from that, appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Goodbye and thank you. Goodbye and thank you. Goodbye and also thank you. Goodbye.